TBISE, the best in sports entertainment. Here live in Empowerment USA. TNS Media Group is the team and the family. So, got a lot of things going on in the media between Terrence Crawford and Tank. They're going back and forth on social media. Yeah. Some may say they're getting real disrespectful. Some say they're going too far. Yeah. Why do you think that fighters nowadays in this era are more vocal on social media and with the disrespect and all these things that's going on now?
I mean, back in the day, you didn't have social media, so you had to wait until you seen the person, and then it was more, personal. It'd be, me and you would step off, and we'd say what we got to say to each other. Nowadays, everything is a show. You know what I mean? You cut your phone on, and there we go. We got a show. Mm-hmm. So I think part of it is because of the algorithm game. You know what I mean? You stay in the algorithm, you keep some money rolling in. That go for both fighters. At the same time, they both are hot-headed dudes. That's why I don't like it. You know what I mean? And I think it went a little too far when both sides started mentioning relationships or who, what this one looked like and this when you be getting into this. I don't really like stuff like that.
Yeah, they mentioned, it was something mentioned, I believe, by Terrence Crawford, where he said, somebody mad they didn't get invited to the event that was over in London, I believe. Yeah. And Tank responded like, I don't need that. Do you think that Tank really cared about being invited to that event?
Tank is on the level where if I'm not getting paid for it, I really don't care. So I don't really think he care about awards and award ceremonies and stuff like that, to be honest.
Yeah. Now they going back and forth. It's been speculation that Terrence Crawford said about Tank's situation with the law, and then now Tank responded, possibly said something about his wife and his family, so forth and so on. Is this crossing the line when they start doing these type of things? Is that going too far?
Yeah, I feel like it is because it's getting personal. We're going into your personal life. You know what I mean? Tank, I'm pretty sure didn't want to get tied up into some domestic situation. And at the same time, I feel like Bud ain't think he would say something about his old lady. You know what I mean? So I think both sides should just chill a little bit, you know what I mean, before it go too far, because some things you can let go. I know they say sticks and stones, that old saying, but some things people say it do hit home. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's his lady, like, you know what I mean? But they said Bud kind of started that first, so it's in the air.
Yeah, so also, Bud said, man, fight Shakur. Yeah. But these things people don't understand. Sometimes it's not really the fighter, because both of the fighters probably would love to fight each other. Right. But just the promotional companies and the barriers that can stop, that's stopping Shakur and possibly Tank fighting. But I believe that they may fight at some point.
I think they will fight, and it will be for big money. And I think that's why they prolonging it, because it's the build-up thing, just like with Pacquiao and Mayweather. You know what I mean? And if you hear them say certain things about each other, but then you also hear Shakur say something like, man, I'm not worried about him. You know what I mean? I'm not going to chase him around. Now, we might get into that mindset, like, all right, you know what? They're not going to fight. And the next thing you know what I mean, the fight is happening. So I think it's going to happen that way. I think we're going to kind of stop talking about it for a little bit, and then next thing you know, they got a date.
Yeah, exactly. Now, just a little fantasy fight. I know we spoke a little bit about it off camera, but looking at Crawford and looking at Tank, they both have a common division of 135 pounds. Right. What does a fight like that look like between Tank and Terrence Crawford at 135? Just like a fantasy, if that fight was to happen at 135.
I think that Tank Davis is more polished at 135. I think he's more put together. But the thing is with Bud Crawford, you can never count him out. You know what I mean? So that's why it would be a hard fight to really pick a side and pick, who would I go with? Because Bud, even when he did get caught with a great shot, and he took the shot and he ended up winning. Yeah. But not only do he win, he stop you. You know what I mean? And I think 35, Tank is the bigger puncher, of course. But Crawford is the bigger man, longer arms, pretty good boxer, sneaky punch. You know what I mean? So that would be a really interesting fight if that could have happened. But as far as picking a winner, I don't really know, man. That's a great fight.
Yeah, you got to pick a winner. But what intangibles, like you'll say, all right, all right, who, if they did this with this skill, they will win this fight. So how would you see it? What would they have to do to win?
Crawford would have to develop a great jab. You know what I mean? He would have to be consistent with a jab and taking Tank, throwing his timing off. I meant throwing his timing off with a great jab, sneaking little short shots in there. Here's the thing when you're fighting a smaller guy. The big shots that you like to throw, the overhands, the big uppercuts, all of that you got to bring down a little bit. What I mean by bringing it down is you got to shorten everything up. You know what I mean? So if you normally go for a hook out here, a nice wild hook, because you're in there with a bigger guy who like to jump back, with a shorter guy who could possibly slip up under it, you got to shorten the hook up, shorten the uppercut up. Everything you got to shorten up when you built like a Crawford with the long arms and stuff like that. For Tank, he's going to have to push the pace of the fight. The reason he'll have to push the pace of the fight is because Crawford can fight off of his back leg, he can box, and he's okay with boxing. Like, he's okay with taking his time. So Tank will have to constantly push the pace of the fight. And the crazy part is he would have to pick his shots because he don't want to get countered too much. You know what I mean? So it would be a very interesting fight. Very interesting fight.
Now, you had to choose between Tank versus, I'm talking about at 35, you had to choose between Tank and Crawford or Tank versus Shakur. Which one would you rather see?
Oh, the fight I want to see, though?
Like you want to see. If you had to choose between Tank versus...
I mean, all right, entertainment factor, it would have to be Crawford and Tank because they both can punch. Yeah. You know what I mean? And Shakur can punch, but the bigger punch, they are bigger punchers than he is. So I would like to see the two punchers because they both skilled. They both, well, Crawford can go southpaw or orthodox. Tank is primarily southpaw. So, you know, I would love to see that fight because of the punching power on both sides.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm gonna throw another. I know you gotta go, but I'm gonna throw another one at you. Terrence Crawford versus Shakur Stevenson. That fight.
I never thought about that.
That's a fight that, you know, at 35.
Crawford would have to just try to beat Shakur up. You can't try to outbox him. He too clean. Yeah. Everything he do is almost perfect. So with a guy like that, you got to take him out of his element. You know what I mean? You got to rough him up. You know what I'm saying? So Crawford would just have to turn it into a street fight to get the win. Shakur just got to be Shakur and box. But Crawford would have to turn it into a street fight. Yeah. So, you know, I mean, I can't pick a winner either. I mean, I just think that, you know, all three of those guys are great fighters. I just want to kind of see, you know, them kind of hash this thing out. I know people don't like each other sometimes and things of that nature, or have issues with one another, but I just don't want to see it escalate into something other than them just talking on social media. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, I feel like Crawford's a mature guy for the most part, but at the same time, he still got that edge with him where he don't mind a fight or, you know, a little bit of static. Like, I think he used little situations like that to kind of push him, you know what I mean, to motivate him. For Tank, it's like Tank just don't care, you know what I mean? But I think in all reality, when you look at the age of both men, they both mature in their own ways, but at the end of the day, we all got kids, we all got family, we all got stuff to take care of, you know what I mean? So I think they'll both choose the proper decision and just kind of leaving it alone. You know what I mean? We don't want this thing to blow up because it wouldn't make no type of sense. Yeah. So hopefully, you know, like I said, you guys can kind of like, you know, hash this out and it'll go away at some point. Yeah. But a lot of times what happens with these things is whereas though people excite these things and want to see these things happen. Of course, everybody's going to talk about it, but to want to see it escalate, oh, he said this and he said that, and you just They can hyping it up, and then it can go left. Understand these guys they're not only boxers, they're fathers. You know what I mean? They're brothers. Their husbands. You know, so forth and so on. And then people are inciting these things, but I think these guys both are smart enough to understand that. Right. It ain't gonna go much further. But some fighters may not know. Right. You know what I mean? So, you know, you heard it here first, man. It's TBISE. The best in sports entertainment. If you're looking for a career in home care, call Medicare LLC. We have the top pay, PTO, holiday pay, medical, dental, 401k. Call now. That's 215-644-8341.